Thank you, Chairman Rush, for convening this hearing today. The Oversight and Investigations Committee, as you mentioned, held a hearing this morning on the power crisis in Texas. And while the Texas grid failed for a combination of reasons unique to Texas, the extreme weather that triggered the near grid-wide blackout was not a unique event. We've seen grid vulnerabilities in other places, including my home state of California. And that's why Titles 2 and 3 of the Clean Future Act are so important and timely. And I'm especially grateful to the committee chairs for including language from my bill, the Power On Act, which encourages the siting of new interstate transmission lines to increase overall capacity, reliance, and resilience, and lower electricity costs to consumers. According to research from the Department of Energy's National Renewable Energy Lab, if we connect centers of high renewable resources with centers of high electric demand by building a macro grid, that is an overlay of high voltage DC lines, and optimize that grid for the nation's best wind and solar, we can dramatically reduce carbon emissions while improving system resiliency and reducing wholesale power costs. And Ms. McIntyre, I appreciate you referencing this concept in your testimony. And I'd like to ask you, and then maybe Ms. Silverstein, electrifying everything is one key component to GHG emissions reduction strategies. This would require additional transmission to bring clean energy from rural areas to our population centers. Would it be a good strategy? Would it not be a good strategy to site transmission along highways and railways with the aim of supplying charging infrastructure along the routes while maximizing existing rights of way? And Ms. McIntyre and then Ms. Silverstein?
Yes, I think that would be a good idea. Any different ways that we can expand and strengthen the transmission system to do exactly what you are saying to help enable, bringing more clean resources and lowering consumer costs is a good proposals to investigate. So, thank you.
Ms. Silverstein.
It's a wonderful proposal, and I recommend that you supplement that with an extensive amount of storage. As folks who are not fans of renewables are quick to point out, the sun doesn't always shine and the wind doesn't always blow. So the more that we can support renewables with not only large amounts of transmission, but large amounts of storage distributed in places like charging stations, the better we can support all of those uses. Thank you.
Great. A backbone grid is also key to integrating low-cost, zero-emission resources. Given that Order 1000 interregional coordination is not a requirement for planning and only looks at pairs of Order 1000 planning regions, should we conduct interconnection-wide or nationwide planning outside of that process? Or does it make sense to reform that process to bring broader regions to plan together? And ask the same to individuals to comment, Ms. McIntyre and then Ms. Silverstein.
We definitely think that FERC should be given the authority to improve the interregional transmission processes and have it be a requirement that utilities and the region be involved.
Ms. Silverstein?
I concur. Additionally, though, I recommend that you not only give FERC more authority over that, but that you additionally create a federal electric transmission authority, because we know that RTOs individually are incapable, it appears, of looking much beyond their boundaries effectively. And so we need much better definition of the benefits. We need much better cost allocation as well as better planning processes. Thank you.
And to be fair, that would be what you'd expect out of RTOs, not necessarily to look nationwide. I think that's why
they are doing a great
Congress.
job at what their job is,
Right,
but
exactly.
we need more than that.
And finally, Ms. Silverstein, we're likely to see more and more of these extreme weather events, and that demonstrates we need to improve resilience. But someone on the other side of the aisle have been suggesting that the Texas energy crisis is an opportunity to cast blame for the California blackouts on renewables. Can you give me a perspective on that? What do you say to people who say we can't run a grid reliably and keep the lights on if we rely on an increasing amount of renewable resources?
I think they're wrong. California was demonstrably not about the failure of renewables alone. California was about the failure of all kinds of resources and climate change. Texas was about climate change and an extraordinary weather event and the failure of every kind of generation and every kind of customer demand problem. So if there was a way to screw up this Texas event, we found it, and they all happened simultaneously. But every complicated weather event and every grid failure is going to have multiple parents and multiple causes. So you can't just say renewables were the cause of either of those events.
Great. I really appreciate the testimony, Mr. Chairman. My time's expired. I yield back.